Have you ever felt that your desire to support others can drain you, as if you were depleting your own internal resources? Carl Jung, an influential figure in depth psychology, warns of a subtle risk associated with this inclination. Welcome to Voyage Inconscient. Together, we will explore the depths of the psyche, the collective unconscious, and the teachings of Carl Jung. Get ready to discover new dimensions of yourself and the universe around us. Behind the most generous impulses, unconscious aspects may be hidden that, without us realizing it, erode our emotional balance. The need to provide help, considered an admirable virtue, often conceals internal processes that require careful observation. At times, this eagerness to assist others can become a mechanism to avoid facing our own insecurities or unmet needs. Thus, the act of helping may reflect deeper personal deficiencies, acting as a mirror of our own vulnerability. This tendency often has its roots in childhood when we sought recognition through external approval. It is common to fall into the mistaken belief that solving others' conflicts will bring the much-desired validation. However, this behavior can be counterproductive. Instead of healing our own wounds, we project those deficiencies onto our surroundings. Over time, offering help can turn into an escape route, a means of constructing an identity based on the role of protector or mediator. For instance, a person who is constantly at the service of their close circle may experience a profound emptiness when there are no more problems to solve. This reveals an emotional dependence on the feeling of being indispensable. In such cases, support does not arise from a state of fulfillment, but from a need for self-affirmation. Assuming the role of savior can also disrupt balance in relationships, creating a power dynamic that hinders others' development and feeds our own ego. To avoid falling into this trap, Jung suggests a more conscious approach to helping, promoting a balance between giving and receiving. Understanding our deepest motivations before taking action allows us to free both others and ourselves from unnecessary pressures. By accepting that we are not responsible for solving every problem, the act of helping becomes a genuine expression of affection rather than a projection of internal deficiencies. Acting from a place of personal balance enables us to respect each individual's developmental process. According to Jung, the hero archetype is a powerful figure that can be both inspiring and restrictive. It drives us to take on the role of savior, often in situations that exceed our capacities or responsibilities. Although the hero aspires to the best for others, they often do so at the expense of their own well-being. This figure arises from a deeply rooted cultural narrative, from classical myths to contemporary stories, in which the hero always emerges victorious against all odds. However, in everyday life, this role is far more complex and rarely concludes satisfactorily. By taking on others' difficulties, the hero risks emotional exhaustion and neglecting their own needs. For example, parents who try to solve every obstacle their children face, whether academic or emotional, deprive them of the opportunity to learn how to manage their own challenges. Although the intention is to protect and guide, these actions can negatively impact children's autonomy. Similarly, in the workplace, leaders who take on all their team's tasks, believing that everything will fail without them, end up exhausted. Paradoxically, this weakens the group, which loses its ability to operate independently. Jung encourages us to reflect on the inherent limitations of the hero archetype. Accepting that it is not possible to save everyone is a fundamental step toward individuation. The process of integrating all facets of our psyche, instead of carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, it is possible to offer support without losing our own balance. In this way, helping transforms into an act of wisdom and love rather than a burden imposed upon ourselves. It is not about abandoning those who need support, but about offering companionship from a place of clarity and harmony, distinguishing between helping and controlling, as the sincere desire to protect can lead us to overstep certain boundaries. Often, we may fall into the temptation of wanting to steer others' lives, convinced that we know what is best for them. However, even if this intention stems from a desire to help, it can be perceived as intrusive or overprotective. Understanding and respecting individual boundaries is essential to transforming the impulse to save into sincere and respectful support. Jung emphasizes the importance of self-care while helping others, as being a hero does not mean completely sacrificing oneself. On the contrary, it involves recognizing that our inner strength arises from the balance between giving and receiving. Only by achieving inner harmony can we become a true support for those around us. According to Carl Jung, altruism, although considered one of humanity's greatest virtues, can conceal a less obvious aspect, the shadow of the ego. Many times, acts of generosity may stem from an unconscious need for recognition, influence, or personal validation. What appears to be a selfless gesture might, in reality, reflect a desire to feel indispensable. For example, a person who constantly offers their help, even when it is not requested, may actually be seeking admiration or trying to boost their self-esteem through external recognition. Although these actions may seem genuine, deep down, they might be driven by the need for approval. This type of altruism does not foster genuine connections, but instead perpetuates relationships based on dependency and control. Moreover, this hidden facet of the ego can lead to passive-aggressive behaviors. When the altruist does not receive the expected recognition, they may experience frustration or resentment, revealing that their help was not as selfless as it seemed. In this way, altruism becomes a means to nourish the ego rather than a genuine expression of love and empathy. This shadow of altruism can also manifest in professional settings, particularly in roles such as educators, therapists, or leaders. It is easy to fall into the belief that one has the best solutions for others, without considering their capacity for self-management and growth. While this behavior may stem from a genuine desire to provide support, it often reflects a projection driven by the ego, seeking to reaffirm a sense of superiority. This approach tends to limit others' development and hinder their personal growth. Jung emphasizes the importance of self-observation as a tool to overcome these inner shadows. Understanding the underlying motivations allows our actions to become genuine expressions of empathy. It is not about ceasing to offer help, but rather doing so from a place of sincerity without expecting rewards. When support is offered selflessly, it not only benefits others but also fosters personal growth. The martyr archetype, often regarded as a symbol of sacrifice and nobility, can become harmful if adopted unconsciously. In their eagerness to give themselves entirely to others, the martyr tends to neglect their own needs, falling into a cycle of self-destruction and frustration. A central characteristic of this figure is the difficulty in establishing healthy boundaries. The martyr believes their worth is determined by the extent of their sacrifice, whether in terms of time, energy, or personal well-being. This constant self-sacrifice not only depletes them, but also creates an unhealthy dependency in those they help. For instance, a parent who constantly puts their children's needs above their own might deprive them of the opportunity to develop autonomy and a sense of responsibility. Another problematic aspect of this archetype is the need for recognition through suffering. Although they appear to act selflessly, they often expect their efforts to be appreciated and valued. When this does not happen, they may experience frustration or feelings of misunderstanding, fueling a cycle of victimhood. This type of behavior not only affects the martyr themselves, but also deteriorates their relationships, generating tension and imbalance. Jung offers a different perspective on sacrifice based on the concept of individuation. Instead of giving oneself completely, it is essential to find a middle ground between giving and receiving. Recognizing one's own needs and setting clear boundaries is crucial for a healthy balance. True sacrifice does not mean renouncing oneself, but rather offering from a place of respect and authenticity, both towards others and oneself. Leaving behind the martyr archetype does not mean giving up on providing support, but rather redefining our relationship with sacrifice. Instead of giving from a place of scarcity or need, it is crucial to learn to give from fullness and abundance. This shift not only frees us, but also strengthens interpersonal bonds, fostering genuine and balanced connections. Jung describes relationships as a constant flow of psychic energy. If we offer support without establishing clear boundaries, we run the risk of completely depleting ourselves. This exhaustion impacts both our emotional stability and our ability to interact effectively with others. Imagine a vessel of water that is emptied without being refilled. Eventually, it will run dry and be unable to meet even the simplest needs. Exhaustion often manifests as feelings of frustration, irritability, or resentment. These signs indicate that we have exceeded our limits and need to reconsider our approach. Jung highlights the importance of self-awareness and the establishment of healthy boundaries to preserve internal balance while offering genuine support to others. This does not imply selfishness, but rather understanding that we cannot provide to others what we lack within ourselves. Taking care of ourselves is essential, whether through meditation, physical activity, or simply dedicating time to our own needs. Learning to set boundaries and say no when necessary is also crucial. Saying no does not mean neglecting others, but rather prioritizing our well-being to continue offering sincere and sustainable support. By safeguarding our energy, we not only benefit ourselves, but also those around us. The concept of individuation, fundamental in Jung's psychological theory, refers to the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious aspects of our psyche in order to achieve a state of authenticity and fulfillment. However, when we devote excessive energy to assisting others, we may divert our attention from this inner journey, hindering our own development. Providing support to others may seem like a noble act, but at times, it becomes a strategy to avoid facing our own shadows. Those who center their existence around serving others often do so to evade their own fears, insecurities, or emotional wounds. This behavior can create the illusion of purpose, but in reality, it limits personal growth. Jung points out that the unconscious never remains inactive in the face of such imbalances. It sends signals through recurring dreams, states of anxiety, or a constant feeling of dissatisfaction. These manifestations urge us to reconnect with our essence and prioritize the individuation process. For instance, a person who constantly experiences exhaustion due to their excessive dedication to others might discover through a symbolic dream that their energy is being drained by neglecting their own needs. This imbalance is also reflected in the difficulty of setting appropriate boundaries, allowing external demands to dominate their life. Such a situation affects both emotional well-being and mental stability, reducing the ability to provide genuine support. Individuation does not mean ignoring those in need of help, but rather finding a balance between responsibilities toward others and one's own internal needs. Jung suggests practices such as active imagination, which facilitates dialogue with archetypes and images emerging from the unconscious. He also emphasizes the importance of rediscovering our individual interests and goals, those elements that nourish the soul and allow us to develop fully. By prioritizing our own individuation, we not only achieve a healthier balance but also become better allies to others, offering support without unconscious projections or expectations. Transference, a concept introduced by Freud and expanded by Jung, refers to the projection of emotions, desires, and internal conflicts onto another person. In helping relationships, this dynamic can become complex and, if not properly managed, can impact both the helper and the one receiving help. Often, those seeking assistance project archetypal figures onto the helper, such as the protective father or the nurturing mother. Although these projections may seem flattering, they also carry significant responsibility. If we accept them without question, we run the risk of internalizing others' emotions, such as anger, fear, or dependence. For example, a therapist might be perceived by their patient as an authoritative figure, evoking the image of an absent father. This unconscious interpretation can create tensions or unrealistic expectations within the relationship. If the therapist does not recognize this transference, they may become trapped in an undesired role, affecting their ability to provide genuine support. This phenomenon also manifests in everyday life. A friend who perceives us as a savior might expect us to solve their difficulties, a burden that over time can become exhausting and counterproductive. To properly manage transference, Jung emphasizes the importance of introspection and self-awareness. By being conscious of our own projections, we can identify expectations and emotions that do not belong to us. Additionally, it is crucial to establish healthy boundaries and encourage the independence of those around us. Instead of providing direct solutions, it is more valuable to guide people toward discovering their own answers, thus fostering their personal growth. When transference is handled with awareness, it becomes a valuable tool for mutual learning, transforming relationships into opportunities for growth and healing. These experiences are not mere coincidences, but manifestations of the unconscious that invite us to reconsider our decisions and priorities. Synchronicities often arise during periods of change, such as the beginning of a relationship, a career transition, or a personal crisis. Jung interpreted them as calls from the universe to pause and reflect. For those who dedicate much of their time to helping others, these signals can serve as reminders of the importance of balancing giving and receiving, recognizing that we can only offer what we genuinely possess within ourselves. Identifying and working with synchronicities requires an open disposition to intuition and attention to the symbols that emerge in our daily experience. It is not about attributing meaning to every little detail, but recognizing recurring patterns that reveal profound aspects of our psyche. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to never miss any of our reflections and analyses on Carl Jung's work. Join our community and begin your own unconscious journey towards self-knowledge and transformation. By paying attention to these signs, it is possible to align our decisions with personal well-being, restoring balance in our relationships and daily activities. In a society that constantly demands our energy and focus, Jung emphasizes the importance of reclaiming this inner balance as a fundamental aspect. Providing support to others can be an incredibly rewarding experience, as long as it arises from a state of personal stability. Without this balance, our actions can become exhausting and unsustainable. To restore this harmony, it is essential to identify our own needs. In various cultures, sacrifice is exalted as an altruistic virtue. However, Jung warns that this perspective can lead to excessive burnout. Taking care of oneself does not imply selfishness, but rather it is an indispensable requirement for offering genuine and lasting help. One of the tools Jung suggests is active imagination, a practice that allows interaction with images and emotions emerging from the unconscious. Exploring our inner world facilitates the identification of hidden tensions and unresolved conflicts, allowing us to establish healthy boundaries and prevent emotional exhaustion. Another effective strategy is the use of mandalas, symbolic representations of psychic wholeness. Drawing or meditating on a mandala helps calm the mind and reconnect with our place within a broader context. This practice is particularly useful for those who perceive their lives as chaotic due to external demands. Fostering self-understanding is also essential. Those who dedicate their time to helping others often impose unattainable expectations on themselves and experience feelings of guilt for not doing enough. Jung emphasizes the importance of accepting our limits, not as a weakness, but as a sign of wisdom. Setting clear boundaries, learning to decline requests without guilt, and delegating tasks are key strategies to preserve our energy. These actions also provide others with the opportunity to take an active role in their own development. Connecting with nature is another valuable source of renewal. Jung believed that contact with the natural environment allows us to reconnect with the archetypal roots of our psyche. A walk through the forest, the sound of flowing water, or simply gazing at the sky can be profoundly restorative experiences, capable of revitalizing our energy and offering a new perspective on life. By incorporating these practices into our daily routine, the act of helping transforms into a conscious expression of love and generosity. In Jungian philosophy, alchemy is used as a powerful metaphor for the process of inner transformation. Applied to the act of providing support, this conscious alchemy involves transforming our unconscious motivations into balanced actions where giving and receiving coexist in harmony. This requires deep introspection to differentiate genuine intentions from those driven by our shadows. Jung reminds us that we can only offer what we truly possess within. If we provide help from a state of lack, it will be limited and potentially harmful. In contrast, assistance provided from a state of inner balance flows naturally and without expectations. The first step in this transformation process is recognizing the unconscious aspects of our intentions. For example, if we support others to feel valuable, this need becomes a burden both for ourselves and for those we seek to support. Transforming these motivations involves accepting our reasons without judgment and working on our personal development to free ourselves from the need for external validation. Offering help consciously also requires a shift in perception towards others. Instead of seeing them as dependent, we acknowledge their ability to face their own challenges. In alchemical terms, this means empowering others to undertake their own process of inner growth. This approach respects their autonomy and fosters healthier, more balanced relationships. For instance, rather than directly solving a friend's problems during a crisis, it is more effective to offer emotional support and resources that enable them to find their own solutions. This method grants them decision-making power and frees us from the feeling of being responsible for their destiny. Another key aspect of this conscious alchemy is the integration of our shadows. These represent the parts of ourselves that we reject and often project onto others. By accepting and integrating these aspects, we stop seeking externally what we lack internally. This process transforms the act of helping into a genuine expression, free from dependency, validation, or the desire for control. Ultimately, conscious alchemy involves cultivating gratitude and detachment. Feeling gratitude for the ability to provide support connects us with a deeper sense of existence, while detachment allows us to offer help without conditions. This balance is essential to prevent emotional exhaustion while staying attuned to our own needs and values. At its core, Conscious alchemy transforms the act of helping into a spiritual journey where we not only contribute to the well-being of others, but also evolve as individuals. A fundamental step in protecting our emotional balance is learning to distinguish our own emotions from those of others. This involves recognizing whether our reactions stem from personal experiences or external influences. Taking a few moments each day to reflect on our interactions and identify absorbed emotions is a valuable exercise. It allows us to recognize recurring patterns and set boundaries before reaching exhaustion. Another effective resource is visualization. Jung believed that symbols have the power to strengthen our emotional resilience. Imagining oneself surrounded by a barrier that filters negative influences and allows positive energies to pass through can help preserve our vitality. Learning to set clear boundaries is another essential aspect of emotional protection. This can be challenging, especially for those who feel a strong urge to provide support, but recognizing our own limitations is an act of self-respect. Saying no does not mean neglecting others. Rather, it acknowledges the importance of preserving our mental health. By prioritizing our well-being, we ensure that the help we offer is genuine, balanced, and sustainable. Self-care also plays a crucial role in restoring our energy. Activities such as meditation, physical exercise, or connecting with nature can significantly revitalize our inner balance. Jung emphasized the importance of reconnecting with the natural world to restore psychological harmony. These moments of renewal not only strengthen our resilience, but also provide a solid foundation for offering support effectively. Taking care of our emotional stability is not a luxury, but a fundamental aspect of maintaining balance while assisting others. In Jung's psychological theory, the shadow represents the unconscious aspects of our psyche that we tend to repress or ignore. These hidden facets influence our choices and behaviors, particularly in the context of helping relationships. According to Jung, integrating the shadow not only enriches our personality, but also transforms the way we relate to our surroundings. For example, someone who insists on solving others' problems might, without realizing it, be trying to fill an emotional void or cope with a sense of inadequacy. In such cases, the help provided is not entirely selfless, but rather driven by unrecognized internal needs. When these motivations go unexamined, they can create imbalances in our relationships. Providing support can turn into an attempt to exert control or impose our perspective on others. Integrating our shadow involves an honest evaluation of ourselves. Feelings such as satisfaction, frustration, or resentment when helping are valuable indicators that reveal deeper motivations. Jung suggested addressing our shadows through archetypal imagery. For instance, visualizing a dialogue with this inner facet can help us identify its needs and find a point of balance. Accepting our imperfections and acting consciously rather than reacting impulsively from unconscious patterns is essential. Similarly, it is crucial to recognize that those who receive our help also have their own shadows. They may project their insecurities onto us, perceiving us as figures of salvation or control. Understanding these projections allows us to manage relationships with greater clarity and empathy. Shadow integration also invites us to reconsider our relationship with the light, those visible and positive aspects of our personality. If we focus excessively on being kind or exemplary, we risk ignoring our true essence. Balancing light and shadow helps us provide support more sincerely, free from external expectations. Jung emphasized that achieving balance between these two aspects is an ongoing process. It is not about striving for perfection, but about accepting our duality as part of human nature. By integrating both poles, we transform the way we offer help. We no longer act out of need or egocentrism, but from a place of authenticity and integrity. This change enriches not only our relationship with ourselves, but also with others, fostering deep and harmonious connections. Ultimately, this perspective allows us to offer support in a way that is enriching for both those who receive it and those who provide it. This is just one part of the journey. Your exploration of the unconscious continues. Click on the next video to keep discovering the teachings and secrets that Carl Jung left for humanity. See you in the next episode on Unconscious Journey.